Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, class of 2022. Make some noise. Congratulations. What a journey that you all have really made it possible over the past 4 years and making your education happen. It wasn't easy, but you made it happen, especially over the pandemic. You really pushed forward. Today's ceremony is presented by the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and Multicultural Affairs. It is an awesome privilege to welcome faculty, staff, students, and graduates and your families here today. The Office of Center for Diversity and Inclusion and Multicultural Affairs welcome you to the annual Multicultural Graduation Celebration for our Spring 22 undergraduates, graduates, and terminal degree students. This celebration is a culminating program for our graduates where we take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate their academic and co-curricular achievement. We're excited to be here today and in community with one another. And we hope that you feel celebrated and loved as we, as the CDI team, have created this space and time in the spirit of excellence and excitement, for we know that this accomplishment is huge and should be celebrated as such. Again, give yourselves a round of applause for this amazing accomplishment. I am pleased to welcome our moderator for today's ceremony and celebration, Danae Baxter. She will assist us in the moderation of the celebration. Danae is a graduating senior from Delaware who will be receiving a bachelor's degree in psychological and brain sciences. Throughout her time at Hopkins, she served on numerous executive boards. You know her resume is long. Her Hopkins resume is very long because she's been very dedicated to the work. That including Black Student Union, Intercultural Greek Council, and her sorority. She was initiated as a proud member of Rho Omega chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated fall 2019 and have served as the chapter president throughout this past year. Danae is also a founding member of the JHU Jews of Color group here on campus. In addition, her student groups, Danae worked as a lead first-year mentor, a Jewish Learning Fellowship intern, a bystander intervention trainer, a lead educator for JHU Seed, and the Office of Multicultural Affairs intern. And I would like to take a pause there and thank you, Danae, for the service that you've given to the Office of Multicultural Affairs. And so at this time, let's welcome Danae as she continues to moderate us throughout this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. The first thing on our program today is I have the privilege of welcoming Mr. Joseph Colon to the stage, the Director for the Center of Diversity and Inclusion.
You know, I just realized that my team did that on purpose, I think, because Danae's also my intern. She's been my intern since God knows when, I think when you first got here. So hopefully I don't get teary-eyed. I promised you I would not, but no promises there. My name is Joseph Colon. I'm the director for the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, and I am so excited on behalf of our department, our team. We are so excited to see you. 4 years ago, can you believe it? It's been 4 years, and you've been through so much. I'm not gonna talk about the pandemic. I'm talking about Johns Hopkins University. So that is a great feat. And do you remember how you felt when you first came here? You were not sure if you belonged. Well, I think on Sunday, when they give you that diploma and that status of alum, that is the proof you needed, not that you needed it, because you belong here from day one. So we wanted to thank you all on behalf of our office for persevering, for trusting us as departments and offices, our faculty and staff really pushing you forth to making sure that you're a success story at Hopkins. And remember, you're not far from home. Remember, you always have a home here at Johns Hopkins University, and particularly within our offices and departments. All right, so I wanted to just say, on behalf of our center, make sure that you're not a fair weather friend. And you may not know what that is, but look up Johnny Gill. He'll tell you exactly what that is. Fair weather friend, remember, we want to make sure that this relationship continues beyond just you walking across that threshold. When you need us, please call us. We'll be there in a hurry, and making sure that you continue the success story, okay? So you can always fall back on us, and we will push you forward as well. All right. Moving forward, I'm going to introduce our esteemed next speaker. He's originally from South Bronx, New York City. I won't hold that against him as a Brooklynite. Dr. Cunningham is a Vassar College alum, receiving his bachelor's degree in psychology. He is also a two-time Penn State alumnus, having received his master's of education in college student affairs and his doctorate in higher education. His doctoral research focused on how underrepresented groups within predominantly white institutions utilize safe spaces to provide a sense of belonging within their universities. During his higher education tenure, he engaged in work in residence life, student conduct, educational equity, alcohol prevention, town gown interactions, university development, and academic support for student athletes. He's presented at local and national conferences, taught classes, and conducted workshops on various topics, including the experiences of Black students in higher education, experiences of Black graduate students, campus climate. The list goes on, interrogating bias, college student poverty. He is everything. We are so delighted that he has chosen to come to Hopkins and be a part of this community. He's always prioritizing DEI for everyday leaders, and he's always focused on sense of belonging and a myriad of other things in his portfolio. He is now the Deputy Chief Diversity Officer for the Johns Hopkins University. He currently serves on the board of directors for Center Safe, a local organization in Center County, Pennsylvania, whose mission is to empower survivors of sexual or domestic violence and to work toward the elimination of such violence. And he is a member of several local and national organizations, including the National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education, the American College Personnel Association, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I was waiting for some type of acknowledgement from your brothers, but that did not happen. And the Pennsylvania Black Conference on Higher Education. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Emil Cunningham to the podium.
There it is, that awkward photo. Oh joy! I mean, they said send one in. And I was like, I got one. It's a headshot. You know, I use it, but I wasn't expecting like the high quality one that shows all the kinds of grades and everything else. Anywho, good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon, graduates of the class of 2022. To family, friends, coworkers, and all of those who are here with us near and far, and even joining virtually. It is my most humble pleasure to be here with you today and to honor and celebrate all that you have done. And I was going to stop there, but then I realized I was going to get cursed out by my supervisor if that was my only introduction remarks. And so I went on and said, congratulations, and thought I would stop there also. But no, congratulations on such a phenomenal achievement. I was asked today to provide the official university remarks, which, if I'm being honest, is a bit of a peculiar thing. Because the reality is, most of you don't know who the heck I am. Am I right? Anybody here met me before, see me outside? I got one, thank you, okay. Well, I appreciate the bio, and while I appreciate my colleagues sharing that, I'm also conscious that those bios often only offer a snippet of the most notable things that I've done over the course of my career. And in truth, our bios often reflect those highest levels of accomplishments that we choose, so that way we make ourselves feel more grandiose than we actually are sometimes. So yes, my name is Dr. Emil Cunningham, and yes, I do serve as the Assistant Vice Provost for Diversity and Inclusion and the Deputy Chief Diversity Officer. But what that bio doesn't tell you is that it doesn't tell you that I only started in this role about 3 months ago today on February 16th. The bio doesn't tell you that I had to follow somebody here today, thank you, Erin, to figure out where the heck this place was so that I wouldn't get lost. And the last thing I needed to see was all the sweat glistening on my dome of my bald head while I was up here. The bio doesn't tell you that, more importantly, day in and day out, I find myself constantly in awe of each and every single one of you and of this space and of this place in which we inhabit. I did not take lightly the responsibility of providing a university welcome at an event such as this, primarily because I reflected back on the occasion when I attended my own multicultural celebration. But there are some distinct differences from when I attended mine to now. First and foremost, there are some decades in between us, and I will leave that alone. We'll just say there are some decades. Second, my undergraduate experience was a bit different. I attended a much smaller institution with only about 600 to 650 students graduating in each class. And as an institution, we had not yet become as diverse as the institution promised me it would be when I first attended. Compounded on that was numerical diversity that did not exist amongst the student body that was there, amongst our minoritized racial and ethnic colleagues who were either, one, admitted, or two, who had persisted to the point at which they would actually be successful to being able to graduate from the institution. And so you might gather to be standing in a place like this right now, looking out at all of you and hearing even Danae's sort of resume just epitomizes for me the excellence that every single one of you represents, which is absolutely stunning. Kwame will tell you that I actually reached out to him late last night and was like, how many people are actually receiving something today? And he immediately emailed me and was like, about 150. I was like, 150? 150 for me is just mind-boggling. 150 of you who have persisted to make it through to this point where you can be celebrated, where you can be honored, where you create the future that we so desperately need. In this room, you are future doctors, lawyers, biochemists, neuropathologists, healthcare workers, social care workers, educators, teachers, psychologists, artists, performers, industry leaders, world shakers, politicians, future leaders, and the university would definitely have my neck if I didn't say, hopefully, future potential donors. In this room, you are the future. And I'm not going to quote Whitney Houston or start singing because Lord knows my voice ain't all that great. But I do believe the children are the future. I do believe that every single one of you are a future. And I just am happy with all the greatness that's in this room because it continues to give me life. Now, if you'll indulge me for a few more moments, I want to impart upon you a few words. Over the course of my life, I had the opportunity, and I'm not always going to say the pleasure because that would be lying. Let's just say I've had the opportunity to attend a number of graduation celebrations and remarks. And it's one of those that uniquely celebrate the magic of our shared lived experiences within this room that I remember the most. I've learned and witnessed that there are speeches that will make you laugh, some that will make you cry, others that will encourage you to think critically, and that every single commencement or celebration speaker wants you to feel as if they have shared something with you that is incredibly profound. To be honest, I don't think I have anything actually that profound to share, but what I can share with you is that I remember clearly and vividly my own multicultural celebration. I remember my speaker, Miss Malika Shabazz, the daughter of Malcolm X Shabazz. And I remember the energy she filled the room with during her speech, and I look forward to having Miss Patricia Brown do the same here today. But more than that, I remember the emotions from that day. I remember walking across the stage and having the opportunity to briefly address this room, much smaller school, less students graduating, everybody had a chance to be at the podium, and looking out at my peers, my family, my friends, my loved ones, and I remember ugly crying. I mean, tears coming down my face. It was just awful. And I couldn't figure out where the heck the tears were coming from. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on because all I planned on doing was just coming up to say thank you. But as the tears streamed down my face, I realized that there was so much more riding on that moment. I shared with the crowd that day that there were times when I thought I wasn't good enough to be there. Like the first 3 years of my college career, I questioned it. I shared that there were times where there were struggles with racism and prejudice and hate that made me question why the heck I was attending a PWI. I shed tears out of the fear of the unknown that lie in front of me because I didn't yet have a job and didn't know what the heck I was going to do. And more than anything, I shed tears as I looked at my mother, who was there, the single mother who raised me and did everything she could to know that I was enough, to make sure that when there are times that I felt so small and insignificant, she helped to lift me up. And I was just so full in that moment that it made me continually cry. And more than anything, I could not believe that the time had finally come for me to move on to figure out what was next. Now, I offer these words in this story to let you know a couple of things. First and foremost, relish and enjoy this moment. Be present throughout this moment and be reflective in all that you have accomplished to arrive to this point. And secondly, as much as this moment is about you, I'd encourage you to also remember the community, family, friends, loved ones who have supported you to help make you and get you to where you are today. On behalf of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the University Administration, I want to say congratulations to all of you and know that your presence here at Johns Hopkins University has been meaningful, and we look forward to all the amazing things you will do in your career. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mill, and thank you, Mr. Joseph Colon, for your remarks. We have a moment of reflection and moment of congratulations from the staff from the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, providing beautiful reminders and words of celebration. I'm sure it means a great deal to the graduates and their families, and we're excited about your future and what you will accomplish. So here, take a look.
Hey folks, this is Clifton Chambry in the Life Design Lab coming to you to say congratulations to the class of 2022. Y'all did this thing, and I'm super happy for you all and for all of the success that you've had from day one to now and that you will have in the future. Remember that you are your future and only you could be your future. So go out and continue to be great and stay in touch so that we can support your journey. Take care.
Hello, I'm Dr. Terry Massey Burrell, Senior Director of Student Disability Services. Congratulations to you, 2022 graduates. The sky is the limit. Remain focused on your goals and continue to do well throughout the years. Welcome to the Alumni Association. Go Hop!
Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Charles Liu, and I'm the Associate Dean for the Center of Diversity and Inclusion. First off, congratulations to all you grads out there and your families. I know that it hasn't necessarily been easy, but you made it. One of my favorite quotes is from a 90s band called Semisonic, and they said that every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Whatever your new beginning might be, I know that you're prepared. So go rock it and know that we're here to support you all the way. Congratulations.
everyone. I'm Dr. Abby Naraki. I use they, them, or she, her pronouns. I am the Associate Director of LGBTQ Life and Gender Identity here at the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. I just wanted to wish y'all a very happy graduation season. I hope that y'all are really able to rest and enjoy this time and really celebrate this accomplishment. This is huge. And for whatever comes next on your journey, I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Congratulations, class of 2022. From the bottom of Joseph Cologne's heart, we are so excited. Under the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, we cannot be more elated to see you cross that threshold. Grab your diploma, pivot into alumnihood. Yes, can you believe it? It's been 4 years of not only blood, sweat, and tears, but well-deserved. And so we just want to say thank you so much for letting us join you on this ride, letting us not only advise you, but also you teaching us. And we thank you for your committed support. And also we thank you for what you're about to do, which is step into your destiny. So continue to lean on us and push forward into your next role and next endeavors. We will always be here for you. So take care, Godspeed, and have a great journey.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Jenkins. I'm the Senior Administrative Coordinator for Center for Diversity and Inclusion.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Matthew and I'm the Assistant Director for Multicultural Affairs.
Hello, Kwame Phillips, Associate Director for Multicultural Affairs.
We just want to say congratulations for a job well done. You all have persevered and pushed through this trying academic year, but we just want to congratulate you again for a job well done.
Yes, congratulations to the class of 2022. Best of luck in all of your endeavors.
Yes, you did it, and you did it with excellence, you did it with hope, and you did it with the stick-to-itness to make it happen, and we are excited to celebrate you today. Again, congratulations, class of 2022. Let's go! Yeah.
Thank you to the staff at the Centers for Diversity and Inclusion for providing beautiful remarks in words for our celebration. I'm sure it means a great deal to the graduates and their families. We are excited about your future and what you will accomplish. What we will accomplish. Okay. Now we'll take a moment to hear from 3 graduates who will provide a moment of personal storytelling about their Hopkins journey. Like all of the graduates being honored today, these 3 graduates who will provide reflections have contributed their time, their leadership, their service, and their creativity to make Hopkins a more vibrant, diverse, and inclusive place and community. Carol Liu, Melanie Pilaka Gutierrez, and Oluwatobi Ogumbi are exemplary student leaders. Yes, we love them all. I am more than confident to know their impact within their class and with peers preceding them have been inspired by their ability to lead and to serve while completing their academic programs. The following students will reflect on their experience at Hopkins through their prospective academic program, student organizations, and co-curricular involvement with OMA, or the Office of Multicultural Affairs. Let's take a moment to reflect and celebrate the Hopkins story of Carol, Melanie, and Oluwatobi.
Hello. Good afternoon, friends and family, fellow graduates, and the Hopkins community. My name is Carol. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm a part of the class of 2022. Before I begin, I just want to say congratulations to all of our graduates. So reflecting back on my time here, I can say with full confidence that I've thoroughly enjoyed my 4 years here at Hopkins. While I may have originally chose this school because of its world-class research, interdisciplinary approaches to science, and opportunities for students to participate in academic work, and I'm sure many of you might feel the same way, I didn't realize that Hopkins would also be a place for me to learn more about my identity and my culture. So while I've always been Chinese American as well as a FLY student, first gen and limited income, I didn't spend much time reflecting on what those identities actually mean to me. But through my time here at Hopkins, I've been able to immerse myself in new experiences. So from learning how to lion dance and then performing with the troupe all over the DMC area for the next 4 years, to walking in my first ever Asian diaspora fashion show hosted by the Inter-Asian Council wearing my beloved mother's qipao, to co-leading the OMA MAP peer mentoring program, which I was also a mentee for in my freshman year. I'm grateful to have had so many opportunities to learn more about myself, and not just academically, in my 4 years here. So to my fellow graduates, once again, a huge congratulations. You've made it, we've made it. So let us take these next steps in our lives while embracing all of ourselves, all of our cultures, and all of our identities. Thank you.
Hi everyone, can you all hear me? Okay, cool. I'm Melanie. I'm also part of the class of 2022. And I'm very honored to have been asked to speak at today's graduation ceremony. It's given me the opportunity to reflect on my last 4 years at Hopkins, but more specifically within my community here. When I got here, I was met with a very interesting environment that I wasn't used to and experiences that I did not anticipate. I learned what the acronym PWI stood for. I was labeled an underrepresented minority, and I was more often than not the only Latina in both of my 100+ person lectures and also my small humanities courses. Yet I was determined to not let these unexpected experiences define my time here at Hopkins. And so as a freshman, I became very involved with the different OMA programs and initiatives, like MAP and Flock. I felt like I gravitated towards these spaces because they were what felt most familiar to me. Being raised in South Florida, it's known as the capital of Latin America. So I really gravitated toward these spaces and the people that I met there. Eventually, I found my way to the community that I had been longing for. And then, unexpectedly, we were all sent home. And so it kind of felt like all of the growth that we had made that first and second year was put on this indefinite pause, right? And when I heard that we would be back in person this year, I did not really know what that would look like. And so transitioning and like being a student leader and part of these organizations and transitioning back into this like new normal was something that we all kind of had to work really hard towards. And so this past year, I had the privilege of being co-president for OLE, the Latinx student group at Hopkins. Yes, thank you. Yes, we've kind of turned the organization around because in my freshman year, there was not as many Latinos on campus that when we came back to campus this year, there was like a noticeable difference in the size of our community. And so OLE kind of, we had to work to meet the needs of our community, and we all wanted more social opportunities, more spaces to be ourselves, and more reason to celebrate our culture and our community. But despite the like rough fall semester transitioning back into in-person stuff, I'm very proud to say that OLE found its footing, and we had many firsts this year, like the first student-run Latinx Heritage Month celebration in the fall, and we had a spring formal in the spring. And it wouldn't have been possible if we hadn't recognized those needs of our community. But yeah, I'm very lucky to have been part of a student body that's so motivated to make these changes and to improve the experience of all of us on campus. But yeah, congratulations to everyone who's graduating this year.
Love you too. I love you too. How's everyone doing? Thank you. Who said that? Thank you. I don't look like that anymore, but it's okay. It's perfectly okay. But good afternoon, everyone. Oof, my iPad not working. Okay. When I was asked to offer a reflection on what my experience these past 4 years had been, I paused. I took a moment to reflect on whether or not I actually wanted to talk about what my experience had been these past 4 years. But I was afraid that if I talked a little too much about the sleepless nights in Brody, or the struggles to write that paper, or the struggles to understand why it was the year that we got here that they took away covered grades, I'd cause a stress reaction in someone, or they'd cut off my mic. So that's not what I'm gonna focus on today. Instead, today I'm going to take a page out of CDI's book and reframe those situations and experiences that have indeed defined my Hopkins experience. Part 1, arriving here. Like most people I know, college was truly my first time leaving the house to go to live on my own. Well, to go live with some random strangers that had very similar responses to me on the housing preference survey that for sure received totally honest answers from all of us. This was extra momentous for me because not only was I moving into college, I was moving to another country, away from the family, the friends, and the food that I knew. Don't get me wrong, FSC was great for like the first week, but I don't know what happened after that, but I digress. Beyond having to adapt to life on my own, coming to Hopkins also meant learning to embrace being a racial and ethnic minority, but we'll get to that in a bit. My first order of business was creating community for myself. If high school had taught me anything, now I wasn't sure if it had when I was sitting in chem and physics lectures, but if it had taught me one thing, it was that I wasn't going to do this alone. Now that I'm on the other end of this experience, I can definitely say I did not do this by myself. I am now in communities of people that I can connect with spiritually, rhythmically, shout out to all the dancers in here, emotionally, academically, and for all of you, I am grateful. But back to me. I had to find spaces on campus where I felt accepted and comfortable, but could be challenged. That brings me to part 2, surviving. If you look to your left and then to your right, you're looking at someone who has survived not one, but 2 major health crises. The first was hand, foot, and mouth freshman year. And I can say 4 years of being a public health major, and I still don't know how that happened on a college campus. But beyond avoiding hell well, surviving to many of us, I am sure, has meant learning to adapt to situations we have never had to deal with before. how to study for orgo or biochem, or navigating having real friendships while being in one or multiple e-boards, while supporting our families at home in one way or another, while not being able to be with them physically. We have all gathered experiences specific to our identities, and while many of these were not pleasant, like living down the embarrassment from canceling the Science Policy Town Hall invitation, RIP Will Edmund, they all have one common denominator: we survived. These experiences taught me things about myself that I had never known, and some of these things are how I ended up contributing to campus life. For example, before joining my dance team, I did not think I could dance. But learning to survive brought me to the third and final part of my Hopkins experience, thriving. If you are here today, you are also in this part of your Hopkins experience. Using the lessons we have learned from being on e-boards, I don't know, random example, the African Students Association, and the networks we have cultivated from being physically at OMA, and quite simply just interacting with the vast and unique experiences of the people in this room, I believe that we have all in some capacity been gifted the opportunity to change someone's world. Whether that's here on this campus through hours of community service. Side note, it's crazy, like a lot of Hopkins students complain about not having time, but if you look at how much hours Hopkins students do with community service, it's actually crazy. But yeah, congratulations to you all for that. Or just by taking the time to mentor underclassmen. We have all contributed to making Hopkins a better place for people like us, even though not all of the campus looks like us, and this is no small feat. I hope that as we all continue to wherever life takes us, we continue to make an impact like only Hopkins students know how to do. Remember that no matter how or where we arrive, there will be a period of survival. But if we stick to it and truly learn how to survive, continuing to build and contribute to the communities that we make for ourselves along the way, eventually we will thrive. See what I did there? Class of 2022, my friends, my Hopkins family, we did it. Congratulations.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much to Carol, Toby, and Melanie for all of your incredible reflections on our past 4 years at Hopkins. My name is Sanjana Boyapalli, and now it is my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, Patricia Brown. Patricia Brown serves as the president and CEO of the National Children's Center in Washington, D.C. NCC is one of the region's largest non-governmental provider of services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. She is a results-oriented executive with more than 20 years of experience in sales, leadership development, and change management. She has created innovative customer solutions through business development and marketing combined with leadership and strategic planning for Fortune 500 corporations such as Allstate Insurance Company and MetLife. A noted authority on organizational development, Patricia is recognized for her expertise in managing an organization through change to deliver superior results by focusing on leadership development. Patricia received her undergraduate degree from the University of Maryland, College Park, and completed her MBA with a concentration in organization development, along with a certificate in leadership development from Johns Hopkins University. Patricia is actively engaged in several external, professional, nonprofit, and community-based organizations that include the Johns Hopkins University Alumni Council, is a founding member of the Johns Hopkins Women in Business Affinity Group, and is a member of the National Association of Corporate Directors Board Governance Fellow. She also serves on the Consumer Advisory Council for the Georgetown University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, serves as vice president for the ANCOR Foundation Board of Trustees, and co-chairs Legislative Committee of the DC Coalition of Disabilities Providers, and a steering committee member for the Ward 8 Economic Development Committee. Patricia is also a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and she is a recipient of the Daily Record's Top 100 Women in Maryland in 2018 and 2020. Please join me in welcoming Patricia Brown to the stage.
Good afternoon. I heard a little ski weed in the house. Can I get it again? Thank you, Soror. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't get that high note anymore, but it is still very precious to me. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. My alpha brother over there, I appreciate the pressure. Malika Shabazz, I am not, but I will do my best to bring a message. So oftentimes when asked to speak, you know, I struggle with, well, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And I came in the room and I looked at the back of the program, and under acknowledgments, there is a quote by Rahm Emanuel that says, "You will have failures in your life, but it is what you do during those valleys that will determine the heights of your peaks." And so that kind of corresponds a little bit with what I'm going to talk about today. So I felt right at home. It is a pleasure to be in this space, the Glass Pavilion, because this is the first place that I met the Johns Hopkins University campus. It was here that I graduated on this very stage from the LDP program. And we were actually the very first Johns Hopkins University class of the Carey Business School. Ours was the first graduation. So it really is deja vu for me. So my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a wife, a mother, a change leader, an advocate for children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities from some of our most historically underserved communities. I am a very proud Blue Jay alum, and I heard a lot of folks say that when you leave, don't leave, stay. Trust me, they will find you, they will bring you back, they will engage you, they will leverage your skills and your gifts, so don't even worry about that. I am also a believer in spider webs and butterflies, and I'll explain what bugs got to do with it in a little while. So I have the distinct honor to serve as the Chief Executive Officer of the National Children's Center. I am blessed to serve a group of amazing, determined, and focused individuals from whom I learn and who bless me each and every day. How I got here was a process. Not a process to become a CEO of a nonprofit, but a process in navigating life. So today, I'm going to share a little bit with you about navigating life and about the process that you will all no doubt encounter. But first, I want to do a special shout out to Dr. James Calvin, who, for his vision and for his support during the LDP program. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it is absolutely amazing and made me decide at a very tender age that wasn't so tender to return to school. And I loved it so much that I stayed to get my MBA. So 15 years ago, I decided to return to school in hopes of getting my MBA. They said, you know, it's a hard thing to do. A lot of people start, they don't stay, it's expensive, it's time, all of that stuff. So the first day of my class, one of my professors asked each of us to stand. He asked us to introduce ourselves and to say why we are here. To this day, I don't remember what I said, but I remember what the professor said afterwards, and he said, "Oh, Patricia Brown, so it's all about you." And I felt a little bit uncomfortable about that because I'm not a selfish person. It's never about me. I was a wife, I was raising a child, struggling with elder care issues and trying to lead and develop people in the workplace. There was never time for me. I had consciously made the decision to invest in me. So I quickly moved from being uncomfortable and feeling selfish and feeling a sense of pride because it really was about me. And it was my time to focus on me. An investment in my education would yield tangible and non-tangible benefits to be my best self. An essential part of the process is to invest in you spiritually, personally, and professionally, unapologetically, fearlessly, shamelessly, with total reckless abandon. Sometimes it needs to be about you. Continue to focus on you and remember that self-care is an investment. It is not selfish. As graduates, you will undoubtedly receive cards, social media posts, and numerous accolades congratulating you on your accomplishment. They will tell you that this is just the beginning of new opportunities and the possibilities are endless. They will tell you that you can become whoever you want to be if you put the work in. They will tell you to dream big, to reach for the stars, to surround yourselves with people who are aligned with the things that you want to do. So many beautiful pieces of motivation and inspiration. And they will remind you of your social and civic responsibility to make an impact on the many needs of our global community. And I do apologize because I'm afraid that my generation left you with a very heavy lift. You are the bright, erudite, discerning, and distinguished 2022 class of Hopkins University, so I know you've already figured it out, but let me say it anyway. I want to talk a little bit about the process of becoming your best self. During my MBA program here at Hopkins, I had a professor named Dick Kilberg. I remember he was stern, he was strict, he was staunch, and we all said, oh no, this is gonna be a problem. He was giving us all this work. It's like, do you understand? We're part-time students, we have full-time demanding careers, we have families, and we have a life, and you want me to do all of this? Well, over time, I came to respect Dr. Kilberg in amazing ways. He was thoughtful, he was intentional, and we learned so much from him. But one of the things that I carry with me each and every day, and I share with my leadership team that Dr. Kilberg told us, was to respect the process. So you came to Hopkins and there was a COVID pandemic. Respect the process. You pivoted, you made it through because you respected the process. So there was a final project that we had to do, and I remember listening to all of the things he told us that we had to do before we actually started to do the work. And then he said, now, I know that some of you out there are going to try to skip the process and jump to the task. And I promise you that you will continually repeat the task if you skip the process. So respect the process was one of the things that I learned as being a member of Johns Hopkins. He told us that some of us will try to skip it, and we did. So right after he said that, we got in our little groups and we said, okay, you do this, you do that, you do that. You're good at this. We got this. We're going to pull it together, no problem. Well, we pulled it together, and what we pulled together was a hot mess. Individually, beautiful pieces, but together, not so much. Once we followed the process, it was nothing short of excellence. The process can be time-consuming. The process can be painful. Process can even feel like trying to see in the dark. You take a step forward, even when you can't see what lies ahead. After years of respecting the process, I would also say that you must trust the process. Sometimes it won't feel like it's fair. Sometimes it will feel like it doesn't make sense. It'll feel like you left your home and you no longer have those favorite treats that you like to eat. But trust the process, that you are in the right place for the right reason for such a time as this. Next, I'm going to say that you must know and believe that you are enough. Embrace your gifts. Surround yourself with those who have gifts you do not possess. Diversity, right? We all have different gifts. When we bring them together, it makes for a perfect team. So surround yourself with people that don't have the same gifts and build your team. You don't have to know it all. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Understand that your most difficult challenges are only opportunities to grow, and that you will grow through what you go through. That's the process. Every ending just makes way for new and amazing beginnings, beginnings that you never imagined. Invest in you without fear or apology and trust the process to grow your perspectives and expand your horizons. In 2011, I'd like to say that I filed for divorce from a career that I had been a part of for 28 years. I thought that we would be in love forever, and it was not a forever relationship. I grieved the relationship. I wondered if such a wonderful opportunity would ever come again. All of those things that take you sometimes down the wrong path. And then I was brought back to the process. What parts of that career did I love? And what parts, if I had it to do all over again, would I change? Line down a piece of paper. Stuff that I like on one side, stuff that if I never did it again, I'd be fine on the right side. I began to list and ask myself, what does change look like? What does it feel like? I began consulting being the change that I wanted to be. The process demands flexibility and change, and sometimes being propelled out of a safety place, a place of comfort. So I was very comfortable for 28 years, and all of a sudden there was this ejection seat that pushed me out into the unknown. So I volunteered. I heard a lot about community service. There's a lot to be gained from community service and volunteer opportunities. I volunteered in nonprofit spaces, served on nonprofit boards, all because my passion was to serve the community and pay it forward. I was asked to serve on the board of the National Children's Center, the organization that I work for today. I served on the board of directors for 2 years, and an opportunity for a COO came up. I immediately started looking through my contacts. Who do I know that would be a great fit for nonprofit? Hello? I started to look at what they were looking for, and I said, I think I can do that. And so I stepped off of the board, I applied for the position, I was hired as the COO. After a while, I thought this could be the opportunity to turn my passion into a career. I became COO. 2 years later, the CEO announced he was retiring. At that point, everyone, except me, was looking in my direction to be the next CEO. Never done that before, not on my bucket list, all kinds of excuses. Why? In reality, because I did not believe that I was enough. I heard someone talk about being enough earlier. That's really, it sounds really simple, but it is so critically important. So another lesson from the process is believe and know that you are enough. Don't overanalyze to find excuses for not doing. Do what you were called to do. My excuses would have blocked me from my passion had I let that happen. Use the gifts that are your gifts and only yours. Be authentic, be resilient, and believe in you. Live a life of service, make a difference in the lives of others because you are enough. Yes, you, Madam President, Mr. Secretary of State, you, Fortune 500 company CEO, I believe in all of you sitting out there right now more than enough to be abundantly above any expectation you have ever had. Just trust the process. Every day we are clothed with the spirit of those who have gone on before us. Amazing things are still possible. You were born to the impossible and the incredible. It's in your DNA. You will not always be able to wait for the door to open. Sometimes you will simply have to knock it down. That could be part of the process. Run toward the challenge and know that the miracle in you is not just for you. It is for others to help them through as well. I used to keep my stories and challenges to myself, and one day, it was actually for a Women in Hopkins group, I shared what I thought was a deeply personal story. This was my story. It was all about all the things that I had been going through. And what I very quickly learned was that it was their story as well. And it was comforting to know that they were not alone and that there was a way through it. And so as you travel this journey, remember to share the process with others. So, I promised you earlier that I'd talk about what bugs got to do with it. And so let me just talk a little bit about spider webs and butterflies. Trusting the process means that you must be resilient. My best example of resilience is the spider web. What happens when you take the broom and you knock the web down? What happens? Somebody tell me, what happens? I know everybody's knocked the spider web down before. You guys are being really, really quiet. What happens? You take the broom, it's like there's a spider. You beat it up, you knock it down, and what happens in less than 5 minutes? There's a bigger and better web. It just comes back. Researchers have been trying to find ways to replicate spider silk because it's so resilient. You must be resilient. And we see all of the things that are happening in the world today. You can't let it get you down. You can't let it take you to another place. You just got to keep on getting up. So just when you thought you destroyed that spider web, it comes back bigger, better, and stronger. The butterfly is symbolic of transformation. So there's an expression, just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became this beautiful, fluttering butterfly. And so it's never over. You just have to trust the process. So the challenge of the day, part of the process, the failure, part of the process, the disappointment, part of the process, some deferred dream. In the words of Langston Hughes, don't you sit down on them stairs now, 'cause I'm still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Embrace the process, knowing that you are prepared. You have done the work. You will continue to do the work. You are enough. Think boldly, act decisively, move swiftly, trust the process. Congratulations on your graduation. You rock.
Let's get another round of applause for Ms. Patricia. Thank you so much for those kind words and that inspiration. I now have the privilege to introduce Dr. Charles Liu. He is the Associate Dean for the Centers for Diversity and Inclusion, and he's going to tell you a little bit about why we are having this celebration today.
All right, so what's up, everyone? My name is Dr. Charles Liu, and I'm the Associate Dean for the Center of Diversity and Inclusion. It is my pleasure to welcome students, families, faculty, staff, and community members to today's celebration. Every one of you have made an impact on the graduates who are here today. Graduates, you did it, and now is the time to recognize your accomplishments. So I wanted to walk you all through a few fun facts from my history of higher education course when I was a doctoral student, and talk about the history of stoles. So Dr. Rich Reddick, if you're out there listening, know that I paid attention in class. The word stole comes from the Latin Greek word stola, which also means garment. Historically, stoles date back to medieval times, where the Church of England was heavily involved in educational institutions. The beginnings of stoles, gowns, tassels, and cords heavily resembled those worn by clergymen to signify their positions. In academic settings during this time, the clothing of scholars often replicated that of the church. Over time, universities opened their doors beyond clergymen to white families with wealth and status, and stoles started to be worn by graduates to distinguish educated scholars in society. So I give this context because I personally think that it's important to acknowledge and recognize that American universities were not originally created for people who look like me, nor were they created for many of you in this room. However, through the perseverance and disruption of those who preceded us against exclusionary and racist systemic oppression, we can sit here today and proudly wear our stoles as university graduates. Graduation stoles eventually transitioned into a more modern display of a student's uniqueness. So today, graduates may wear their stoles for a variety of different reasons. It could be because you are proud of your academic achievements. It could be to acknowledge your involvement in extracurricular activities, or it could be to show pride in a community that you have built over years as an undergraduate and wear them proudly on your graduation day. Nonetheless, the stoles that you are about to receive honor and recognize your achievement at the Johns Hopkins University. The Center for Diversity and Inclusion and the Office of Multicultural Affairs are so proud of you, and today we want to recognize your outstanding accomplishments and celebrate your individual identities. So without any further ado, we ask our graduates at home to wear your stoles as we begin calling your name. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Mr. Clifton Chambry.
All right, so this is the time. I'm going to take this off. It's a time to celebrate you. We are excited to be with you. I am Clifton Chambry. I serve as our Associate Director of Life Design. I'm with my wonderful colleague, Martha.
Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Kakoza, and I'm the Program Coordinator for Gender and Sexuality Resource.
And we are super excited to have the opportunity to announce your names as the graduates of the class of 2022 here at the Multicultural Celebration. But we want to give you a few instructions just so we kind of keep it moving. Is that right, Martha?
That's right.
Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to call row by row. So we'll first do the row 2 on your left, and we'll ask you to stand. So you can stand currently and bring your cards with you. You'll come around, and you'll hand your card to either Martha or myself. And then what we'll do, the other person will be reading. And so after we're done with row 2 on the left, we'll go row 2 on the right. And then when we call you, you'll be able to stand. And then you'll come around. But if you want to help us go a little bit faster, when you see like the second to last person's going, maybe you'll start standing the next row, right? And join us in that process, right? And so we can keep on moving so you can get your good food, hear the last words from some folks, and get your stoles. Maybe let's do the third to last person. We're going to do the third to last person. You get up and walk around, right? Does that make sense? All right, we're going to party now. And so I will pass it on to Martha, who will start us on off.
All right, everybody, congratulations. So the first person we have today is Elisa Parra, who majored in neuroscience. And then next we have Michael Garcia, mechanical engineering. Right up next, we have Danielle Wang, who majored in MSEM and ChemBE. Right up, we have Janice Hernandez, who majored in molecular and cellular biology. Congratulations. Right up next, we have Alex Wang, who majored in biomedical engineering and linguistics minor. Right up next, we have Christian Roberts, who majored in chemical and biomolecular engineering. Right up next, we have Maya Bussey, who majored in molecular and cellular, yes! And a minor in art history. Congratulations. Next, we have Autumn Williams, who majored in cognitive science and psychology. Right up next, we have Lauren Herbert, who majored in behavioral biology and a minor in psychology. Up next, we have Abena Amwako Abebio, who majored in media and film studies and has a minor in psychology and theater arts. Right up next, we have Shanjana Bayopili, who majored in public health studies, medicine, science, and the humanities. Congratulations. Right up next, we have the Danae Baxter, who majored in psychological and brain sciences. Right up next, we have Melanie Pilka Gutierrez, who majored in international studies and economics. Next, we have Oluwatobi Ogumbi, who majored in public health and business.
All right, up next, we have Andre Vu, major in psychology and natural sciences. Up next, we have Xing Yu Wu, majoring sociology. Next up, we have Rebecca Rivera, majors in behavioral biology and sociology, minor in women and gender sexuality. Next up, we have Laura Rodriguez, majors in public health studies and natural sciences. Up next, sorry y'all, we have Natalia Camargo, major in cognitive science and psychology. Next up, we have Josibel Cordoba, major in behavioral biology and psychology. Next up, we have Eric Armstrong, major in international studies and minor in political science and economics. Next up, we have Valentina Molano, majors in chemistry and Spanish. Next up, Gabriela Molestina, major in public health studies and natural sciences. Next up, Dania Hinosa. I'm sorry, y'all. Hinojosa, sorry, thank you. Next up, we have Alexander Palacios. Next up, we have Hannah Lee Scher. Next up, we have Carol Liu. Next up, we have Soticha Kanachirun. Next up, we have Elizabeth Cho. Next up, we have Erica Huang, majors in computer science, cognitive science, and minors in psychology and visual arts. Next up, we have Mofi. I didn't read her last. Majors in economics and financial economics. I did that. Love the love. Keep it coming. Next up, we have Princess Newton, major in BS, neuroscience and psychology. Next up, we have Ashraf Nuari, major in neuroscience. They must know each other. Next up, we have Kai Abula, major in medicine, science, and humanities. Next up, we have Sarah Abudallah, major in neuroscience and public health.
Next up, we have Adeshola Lua, who majored in computer science. Next up, we have David Eke, who majored in neuroscience. Next up, we have Sophia Haas, who majored in civil engineering. Keep up the energy, folks. Keep up the energy. Next up, we have Kirsten Alicia, who majored in molecular and cellular biology and history. Thank you. Next up, we have Jessica Lynn, who majored in molecular and cellular biology and a minor in environmental studies. Next up, we have Carlos Burinugua, who majored in public health and Next up, we have Jennifer Kirksey, who majored in molecular and cellular biology. Next up, we have Tabitha Laurent, who majored in Romance languages. Next up, we have Jill Wang, who majored in Spanish and medicine, science, and the humanities. Next up, we have Shinji Zhu, who majored in biomedical engineering. Next up, we have Ana Carolina Paleras, who majored in vocal performance. Master's degree. Next up, we have Tiffany Stacks, who got her master's degree in voice performance. Next up, we have Giovanna Rubio, who got her bachelor's in computer science. Next up, we have Julia Lin, who majored in molecular and cellular biology and mathematics. Next up, we have Denise, who majored in cognitive science and a minor in earth and planetary sciences. Next up, we have Ayo Oluwayide Ashiru, who majored in material sciences and engineering. Next up, we have Karina King, who majored in material sciences and engineering. Next up, we have Ese Bori, who majored in materials and sciences and engineering. Next up, we have Chinaza Ekpa Wampa, who majored in biology. Next up, we have Danea Andros, who majored in molecular and cellular biology. Next up, we have Jun Young So, who majored in psychology. Next up, we have Maximilian Garcia, who majored in mechanical engineering. Next up, we have Leslie Pania Garcia, who majored in psychology. Next up, we have Jordan Jenkins, who majored in public health. Next up, we have Haley Tiart, who majored in Africana Studies, Sociology, and Social Policy. Next up, we have Nordia Simmons, who majored in Psychology and Spanish.
Next up, we have Olificio Atawada. Major in Neuroscience and Public Health Studies. Next up, we have Fatima Mendoza, major in Political Science, minor in Economics. Next up, we have Daphne Moraga, major in Sociology and Africana Studies, minor in Social Policy. Next up, we have Emily Bowden, major in Public Health. Next up, we have Rebecca Lee, major in Dance. Next up, we have Rush Johnston, major in Dance and minor in Art History. Next up, we have Neela Mohan, major in Electrical Engineering and Biomedical Engineering. Ciao. My tongue don't want to work. Next up, we have Marissa McDonald, major in Biomedical Engineering and minor in Computational Medicine. I got it that time. Next up, we have Sarah Huffman, major in Neuroscience and minor in Psychology. Next up, we have Melody Moultra, major in Chemical Engineering. Next up, we have Shirley Wu, major in Mosel Bio. Next up, we have Joyce Wang, major in Molecular and That's right. And History and Science, Medicine, and Technology. Next up, we have Disha Mishra, major in Biomedical Engineering. Next up, we have Milan Putel, major in Biomedical Engineering and minor in Computer Integrated Surgery. That's different. Next up, we have Subabata, major in Chem BE. Next up, we have Joan Bach, also majoring in Chem BE. Next up, we have Salmit Roy, major in Chem BE and Econ. Next up, we have Unisha Datta, major in Public Health and Social Policy. Next up, we have Mona Yuan, major in Molecular and Cellular Biology. Next up, we have Hana Su, major in Molecular and Cellular Biology and Public Health. Next up, we have Sri Akula, Akulu, sorry. Major in molecular and cellular biology, chemistry, double major. Next up, we have Ikaite Ikpo, major in psychology, minor in visual arts. Gotta look good, gotta look good. Next up, we have Ria Gulano, major in psychology, minor in theater arts and studies. Next up, we have Elizabeth Akire, major in computer engineering and computer science. Next up, we have Kara Beatty, major in public health and minor in psychology. Next up, we have Ariana Tovar, majors public health and Spanish. Next up, we have Tiffany Braga, majors in international studies and Spanish and minor in Latin American studies. Next up, we have Hana Takusiuka. Wow, Clifton. I'm trying, y'all. Forgive me. Congratulations. Major in biomedical engineering and Spanish. Next up, we have Ashnu Sundesa. Major in psychology, writing sims, and minor in visual arts. Next up, we have Armand Jamal, major in molecular and cellular biology. Next up, we have Amy Van E., major in biomedical engineering.
Next up, we have Manuel Hernandez, who majored in economics and international studies. Next up, we have Zion Smith, who majored in chemical and biomolecular engineering and a Spanish for professions. Next up, we have Naya Atumlo, who majored in chemical and biomedical engineering. Next up, we have Eddie Dong Ekpo, who majored in psychology and theater arts and studies. Next up, we have Aria Toledo Dunham, who majored in biology and Spanish. Next up, we have Leah Jones, who majored in natural science with a psych minor. Next up, we have Cherise Lam, who majored in chemical and biomolecular engineering. Next up, we have Ozioma Anyanu, who majored in medicine, science, and the humanities. Next up, we have Rawa Yedong, who majored in public health and molecular and cellular biology. Next up, we have Sanya Shetty, who majored in biomedical engineering. Next up, we have Rael, who majored in cello performance. Next up, we have Najeta Alcandera, who majored in cognitive science. Congratulations to all the graduates here today. It was such a pleasure to celebrate you. So next up, I'll be transitioning to our speaker that we're going to have today, Ms. Claudia Bellany, who is a visionary and a strategic leader, innovator, and economic development professional. Recognized by the White House, United States of Women, as a nominated change maker. Claudia is an advocate for economic equity, women empowerment and equality, entrepreneurship with data-driven results. She uses creative endeavors to maximize and improve the work in community and economic development. As the developer of programming at the International Economic Development Council, Claudia creates and builds robust content for IEDC's conferences. Prior to joining IEDC, she served as an economic research specialist at Charles County Economic Development Department. Her portfolio also includes market research and production services for HBO, MGMM Studios, Bravo TV, and Color and Soul Cosmetics, among many others. She holds the distinction as the second person in Maryland and the first African-American woman to be designated a Certified Economic Research Professional, CERP for short, by the Council for Community and Economic Research. Let's welcome Claudia Bellany to share with us. Make connections, y'all, network.
Good what are we? Afternoon. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of all of you all. Give yourself a hand. I am delighted to be here. My name is Claudia Bellany Atanga, and I'm a recent graduate, well, not that recent, 2011, from the Johns Hopkins LDP program, and I have an MBA from Cary. And I'm just super excited to be here with you all. I want to thank Hopkins and Kwame's team for inviting me to speak today. And I want to know where everyone is from really quick. You all had some very colorful names. Where are the Asians? Where are the Asians? The Asians? Okay. Where's my Africans? Who's from Africa? Okay. My Latinx. Pacific Islanders. Okay. Who that miss? Middle Eastern? Caribbean? Okay. I got to give to Latinx. They were the most lit. And then the Africans. Okay. But I like to know who's in the audience. But firstly, I'm just here to speak to you all briefly. I know I'm standing between you all and your celebration and food, and I don't like to do that. But I just wanted to talk to you about becoming an alumni. You're just crossed the bridge, and now it's time for you to get engaged. And Miss Pat, one of my mentors and today's keynote speaker, said that Hopkins will run you down and engage you and, make sure that you are on the roster for giving and donating, all of which you will be delighted to do. So I do want and you'll do it with a glad heart and a willing spirit, right? We all give from a cheerful place. I do want everyone to open up their phone, get your phone. And who's already connected on OneHop online? OneHop, what is it? OneHopJHU.edu. Are you all connected? Good. Okay, good. Are you all on LinkedIn? Good. Okay, good. So you've already won half the battle. But the big thing about becoming an alumni of Hopkins is you want to build relationships before you need them. It is really important now that you're postgraduate, your journey is just beginning. You want to make sure that you engage. How many people have a mentor? Ooh, okay. You got to get mentors, you all. You need to have a mentor, and you need to also be mentoring other people who are coming behind you. A lot of you all are first generation, second generation graduates. You all are the cream of the crop, right? You all are graduating from a world-renowned institution, and so use that to your advantage. You already have the degree, which is going to open you numerous doors. You're going to get seats at tables, and you already have earned that, right? So now it's time for you to pull others up behind you, and the way you do that is through the alumni network. A lot of you all have overcome many obstacles in life. How many have faced adversity of some sort? I have, okay, yeah. I remember when I was at Hopkins, I was in the LDP program, I was in the MBA program, I was working full-time, I was pregnant with twins, had one more, remember, I had one more exam to finish, and then my twins were due that evening. So I had to sneak out the house to go take the exam because they tried to put me on bed rest, and I made it and came back and delivered the twins. So if you can do it, it's so fun, thank you. It's so fun telling that story now, like, wow, I did that. And we were building a house at the same time, so. I know, right? Okay. So really, you in life, the bottom line is in life, you're gonna come, the peaks and the valleys are gonna come. And I love the quote, Ms. Pat had mentioned it as well. You will have failures in your life, but it is what you do during those valleys that will determine the heights of your peaks. In life, don't get too high with the highs and don't get too low with the valleys. Just try to have a very, middle of the range. Don't get too excited and don't get too low, because guess what? Everything will pass. And when things feel hard in life, you're going to have so many obstacles. Just keep going. Winston Churchill said, when you're going through hell, keep on going, right? And I'm going to close with a couple of things. Make sure you're staying in touch with your professors, right? I know I studied in Russia. I studied economics in St. Petersburg, and that was in undergrad, and I still am in contact with my Russian professors. And so it was so interesting to reach back and, just to engage him with everything that's going on right now. And he really appreciated that. And your professors and everyone who's gotten you to this point, they want to hear from you, right? They want to know how your life is going, what you learned at Hopkins, and how you're able to apply that. Because you all are the future leaders of this world. So use it to your advantage. I'm so proud of you all. And then in closing, get connected. There are so many programs and opportunities through the Alumni Network. I'm not going to name them all, but please get involved. I'm in the Black Alumni Network. I'm in the Society of Black Alumni. I'm in the Women of Hopkins, which Ms. Pat was a founding founder of that, and it's still going. We're like in our 11th, 12th year. So it really pays, and my relationships are really mean the most to me. Some of my closest friends are from the Alumni Network. Just 10 years later, we're all still in contact. You hear about people's babies and marriages. This is your network, and I invite you to get connected. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so proud of you all. Give each other a big hug. Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. I'll definitely be an active member of the Alumni Association. It might be a couple years before you can call me a donor, but I got really nervous when I realized that not only was I helping to moderate today, but somebody on the planning team thought that I would be good to do some final remarks for the class. Yes. Our beautiful and inspiring graduating class of 2022. Give yourselves one more huge round of applause because we are done in 6 days. Now, to be honest, I really was wondering last night to my roommates, Rawa, she was there. I was like, how am I graduating? How many times have I actually gone to class? How did I learn anything besides how to survive off of Uni Mini mozzarella sticks for an entire semester and whatever free food they had at student events? How did I convince people that I belong here? These aren't the questions that really matter, though. What we should be asking ourselves is who? Who did we meet here that has changed our lives? Who did we blossom into during our years here? Because we did the work that was necessary to get here in these seats right now and onto that field on Sunday. We all did, because again, it doesn't matter how we got here. I can tell you how we got here. We persevered, we were strategic, we used survival tactics, We protested when we felt threatened. We drafted statements to our general body members when our administration did not. We demanded better for the lives of ourselves and for future students. The African Students Association, Black Student Union, Interasian Council, Indigenous students at Hopkins, ISA, and the other ISA, Ole. We did this, and you know I love all of y'all, but it would take me a long time to list off the 35 plus cultural organizations we have. Okay, back to the who question. I want everyone in the audience to look around the room for 10 seconds. Yes, I'm gonna be one of those people. And make eye contact with one person who has positively impacted your experience at Hopkins. Smile at them, maybe quietly say thank you. Okay, good. It looks like y'all have a lot of friends. And maybe you looked at your roommate, maybe it was your boss, your old chem lab partner, or your best friend. Just reflect on the difference that that person has made in your life. We're about to embark on a new chapter of our lives, and I want to challenge everyone to really reflect over the next week before graduation on Sunday. Take the time to be thankful and to make sure that you tell every single person that you met here along the way who has helped you get to this spot today that you love them. I don't know where I personally would be without the connections that I've made at Hopkins. Without my roommates, my best friends, yes, one of them is my old chem lab partner, my boss, Mr. Colon. And you know what? That's how the hell I convinced people that I belonged here. And that's why you all belong here, because each and every one of us made our mark here and we created this space. We made the connections and we made it through, no matter what it looked like. And now look at everything we get to walk away with, all these connections. These friendships and memories that will last forever. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming here today, listening to me ramble, for encouraging me to be the leader that I didn't think that I could be when I started here at Hopkins, and for also closing out this very, very long 4 years with me. Thank you. Now, before I leave you, I have the pleasure to welcome Stephanie Matthew to the stage to provide our final closing remarks and some last words.
Thank you so much, Danae. Congratulations again to the class of 2022. You did it. I just want to take the time to thank all of the family, friends, staff, and faculty that are present here today. This accomplishment would not be without your vision, guidance, hard work, and love. This is about community, and we need to acknowledge all of those people as well and the roles that they played in supporting and all of you here to graduate. So can we please have all the family, friends, staff, and faculty stand up? Please give them a round of applause. Thank you for all your support throughout the 4 years. Thank you. You all can have a seat now. Next, I'd like to thank all our speakers today for this wonderful program. I'd like to thank Kwame Phillips, Dr. Cunningham, Dr. Liu, Mr. Colon, our moderator, Danae Baxter, our student speakers, Carol, Melanie, Toby, and Sanjana, Patricia Brown, and Claudia Bellany-Buss. Thank you to our announcers and usher, Clifton Chambry, Martha Kakuza, Caitlin Martinez, and Dr. Abby. And lastly, I would like to thank Keanu Jordan Stovall and Kwame Phillips for organizing this event with Cheryl. And then last but not least, to close out our event, I am going to invite all of our graduates, since it stopped raining. We want to take a group photo with all of you outside. So just outside and then to the left. And then after we take that group photo, we will have our reception in Great Hall. So please join us now. Thank you again for everyone, and congratulations.